Order! Order! You are an incorrigible delinquent at times. Behave yourself, man!
Trump time. Now, Donald Trump has branded Scotland small-minded and parochial. That's after losing his court battle against plans to build an offshore wind farm near his Aberdeenshire golf course. More on that in a moment. But it wasn't the best day for the US presidential hopeful, who became flustered and yet again resorted to his comfort blanket, hurling insults in last night's final Republican debate of the year. Despite that, none of the other candidates seem able to dent his consistent lead in the Republican race. Why? Our Washington correspondent Kylie Morris has this report.
As president, I will keep you and our country safe
and sound.
We will keep America safe.
And just in case you missed that,
We've got to keep the people safe.
this fifth Republican debate was a televised job interview for Commander-in-Chief, and their schemes for keeping America safe were at times eye-watering. Donald Trump stuck to his plan to close America temporarily to Muslims, drawing the ridicule of Jeb Bush.
So Donald, is great at the one-liners, but he's a chaos candidate, and he'd be a chaos president. He would not be the commander-in-chief we need to keep our country safe.
Undeterred, Mr. Trump went on to suggest killing terrorists' families and, yes, closing the internet to bad guys.
So are you open to closing parts of the internet?
I sure as hell don't want to let people that want to kill us and kill our nation use our internet. Yes, sir, I am.
But when the heat was on, it was Bush the younger who finally brought the energy he's been so criticised for lacking.
This is a tough business to run for president.
I know, you're a tough guy, Jeb.
And we need to have a leader that is
real
principled.
tough.
You're never going to be president of the United States by insulting your way to the presidency.
Let's see, I'm at 42 and you're at 3, so far I'm doing better.
Doesn't matter.
So far I'm doing
Watching from a Virginian living room was a group of Muslim Americans, among whom there was concern that the language on stage provides fodder for radicalization.
With Donald Trump and other people surging, getting 40% of the vote, trust me, we're going to start having radicalized Muslims. If you think it was a problem before, it'll be a problem now because of what's happening on the Republican platform.
They're using Muslims to incite fear in policy making. We don't need simple solutions. We need people who can come up with creative, reasonable, intelligent, smart things to solve the problems we're facing.
Back on stage, Ted Cruz, the Tea Party's evangelist running a close second to Donald Trump in Iowa, was explaining his big idea: carpet bombing ISIS.
Would you carpet bomb Raqqa, the ISIS capital, where there are a lot of civilians? Yes or no?
You would carpet bomb where ISIS is, not a city, but the location of the troops.
When New Jersey Governor Chris Christie expressed his willingness to shoot down Russian planes over Syria,
not only are we prepared to do it, I would do it. A no-fly zone means a no-fly zone.
the Libertarian candidate Rand Paul had had enough.
Well, I think if you're in favor of World War III, you have your candidate. My goodness, what we want in a leader is someone with judgment.
Maybe this guy.
America, I'm only getting started.
In an unexpected intervention, the political drama House of Cards bought up advertising space in the middle of the debate, complete with a fake campaign ad by their fictional president, Frank Underwood, played by Kevin Spacey.
I'm Frank Underwood, and I approve this message.
Back in the real world, there were sharp differences in this debate. Marco Rubio forced to defend his position on immigration, Rand Paul addressing regime change. With contrasting performances and policies from nearly all the candidates, it feels now the race has finally begun. Kylie Morris, Channel 4 News, Washington.
Now back to that legal ruling over Mr. Trump's Scottish golf course, and the Supreme Court threw out his argument that a planned wind farm would spoil the view from the Green. The case has ignited a war of words with Scotland's former First Minister. Alex Salmond branded the billionaire tycoon a three-time loser, while Mr. Trump hit back, calling him a has-been and totally irrelevant and pompous. Mr. Salmond says he is now free to speak his mind on the damaging impact that Mr. Trump's interventions have had on the Scottish economy. Well, with me now is the MP, Tasmina Ahmed-Sheikh, the SNP Trade and Investment spokesperson. Welcome to the programme.
Thank you, Matt.
This war of words between Alex Salmond, one of the leaders of your party, and Donald Trump, who's having, in our picture, a rather bad hair day,
Indeed.
is pretty unseemly, isn't it, on both sides?
Well, in terms of words, Where we are with Donald Trump and where we are with me and Donald Trump is he seeks to ban me, my husband and my 4 children from entering the United States of America. So my view has been that I want to call upon this government to show leadership in relation to this chap and ban him from entering the United Kingdom. He is not good for business.
What about his business interests in Scotland? Would you have them closed down? I mean, he's trying to build a second golf course.
Well, in terms of the Turnberry, Trump at Turnberry, he's successfully managed to prevent the Open taking place at Turnberry for as long as he's in ownership of it. And that is very bad for the Scottish economy because that's a potential £100 million boost. But, you know, the members of the committee have made it perfectly clear in their respect that as long as he said it won't happen. In terms of investment in Aberdeenshire, he had promised local authorities, the government, that he would invest a huge amount of money. And when you do the sums, it looks like he's invested just 1/10 of what he said he was going to invest in the first place. And the loss, of course, to the economy potentially is this £200 million offshore investment that we could potentially lose.
But you could say that Alex Salmond fell for this hook, line and sinker because he's the one who brought him into Scotland in the first place, back in 2007. He believed the Trump hype.
I don't think anybody of sane mind could possibly imagine that Donald Trump could be so insulting towards people with disabilities, people from Mexico, women, or indeed
No,
Muslims.
indeed. But I'm talking about the specific investment in Scotland. And although he's been particularly insulting in this campaign, he's always been volatile. He's always been abrasive. He's always been Donald Trump. And Alex Salmond knew that in 2007 as much as he knows it now. So why did he invite him into the Scottish investment bed?
Well, that's a questionable statement. What I would say is Scotland is open for business. We are very much forward-facing. We have a great place internationally. Our exports are up between 2007 and 13 by 40%. We want to do business with the world. The issue with Mr. Trump is he's not good for business, which is why quite correctly and very quickly he was stripped of the status of global Scot because he's certainly no ambassador.
Right, so you would ban him from coming to this country. You would limit his business interests as much as you can.
In terms of banning him, I'm asking the UK government to demonstrate consistency in relation to the way they deal with people who hate preach and people who are not conducive to the public good. Now, Theresa May has banned 84 people for similar hate speech remarks. He has condemned an entire religion. He is suggesting that I will not be allowed entry to the United States of America. What a ridiculous scenario. I'm simply saying the UK government has an opportunity in these very difficult and challenging times to demonstrate leadership and make Mr. Trump number 85.
But very briefly and finally, do you regret that Alex Salmond ever invited him in the first place?
No, nobody can ever have imagined that Donald Trump would conduct himself in such a manner. I think what is important is once he's demonstrated his true character, that we act accordingly, and that is what we're all doing now.
Tasmina Ahmed-Sheikh, thank you very much for coming in.
I've been getting away with it all my